Welcome. I'm Catherine Veneman, Curator of Education at the Blaffer Art Museum. Thank you for joining us virtually for Summer Arts 2021. We're very pleased to present a series of 4 family-friendly art-making demonstrations, which are partly inspired by the Blaffer's exhibitions, and are presented by artist, educator, and docent Rona Lesser. Today's lesson, Tell a Story, Fiber Arts in Water Media, is partly inspired by the exhibition Jagdeep Raina Bonds. You can find out more information on the website and in the lesson plan and learn more about Raina's work and inspiration for this lesson. So have fun.
Hi, good morning. So today we're going to work with creating a piece of artwork using some yarn if available, or if not, I have an alternate technique for you that will make it look a little bit like some of the way that Jagdeep Raina's work was inspired with an embroidery technique. We're going to cut the yarn into smaller pieces, and the subject matter is going to be something you would want to do with your friends or family. So I did one sample that I'm going to go ahead and show you now to give you an idea of what we're going to do. And this sample was going to the beach in the summer. And I have another one sketch drawn out. So the first step would be just to sketch out some ideas onto a piece of scratch paper so that you don't mess up when you get on your regular one. And I sketched, I hope you can see it, it's not that dark. I sketched like walking in the park with or walking down the street with your dog and maybe a wagon. Could be with your friends. I'm going to show you another piece later with the alternate technique that is riding bikes with your friend. Then you want to get a piece of something a little bit heavier than this paper if you have it, because this is going to handle some weight, and depending if you're going to use watercolor or markers, it needs to be able to handle the glue in the water. So this is inexpensive watercolor paper for kids or for artists starting out. And you can get that, or you could just use a piece of heavy cardboard or cardstock, especially if you're going to cover it totally. If you're really desperate and can't find anything, take something that is not heavy, that is white or colored paper, and cover a piece of some back of a cereal box. And that'll give you a nice heavy surface to work on. So I'm going to sketch my idea quickly. And since I did this one already, I'm just going to transfer that idea pretty quickly. Make sure you have an eraser around so you can erase what you don't like. And also just keep it very simple, big shapes that you can fill in. So an oval or a circle for a head, and maybe rectangles for body shapes. Don't try to be totally realistic, because it's hard to do that. And I have this person half walking. I kind of have them facing front just because it was easier, but you can always put your person to the side. You draw the sidewalk line that they're walking on. I think he's going to have the dog over here. So he's got the leash. Oops. Don't worry too much about If you can't draw well, it doesn't really matter. Just do the best you can. I'm going to draw a tree. Trees have branches. So lots of Y shapes for the branches. Maybe they're walking past the house, so I can put in a window back here behind them and a door. So I've got, I don't know how well you can see my actual drawing, but I've got two people in this one and a dog and just walking outside. So after I get that on there, I'm going to decide which parts of it I want to fill in with some colored yarn, assuming that you have some available. And I had pre-cut some, but we're going to cut it in very little, in short pieces. If you want, and you're working with a child, you could just pre-cut some of this ahead if it's a young child. Yep. So I've cut up some red because I just decided I wanted to use some of that. But I do have some that I've already cut over here. And some colors. I think most of them are a little bit longer. All right, so then when I get enough cut up, and you can just keep cutting as you need it, I'm going to decide which parts I want that yarn on. And again, I'm working as I did in the other lessons, if you happen to watch them, with some glue that had some water in it. It actually likely is getting a little dry in the bottle, so it needs the water. And a brush. Let me get the plastic brush like I used last time to show you. One of these brushes, the inexpensive brushes, is the best thing because you could throw them out. This glue is a little dry. And then I'm going to put some glue, say on his shirt or her shirt or their shirt. And I'm going to put the pieces of yarn onto the glue as if it's stitched on there. Actually need it a little shorter since that's not a very big box shape. And I'll hold that up after I get it on there. So I'm trying to give him a red shirt right now. I hope I got enough glue on there. Didn't realize how dry that glue was till I got it out of the bottle. So we're trying to make it look a little bit like we stitched something in there. Well, I kind of got his shirt kind of covered like that. And I would keep doing that for the rest of this, where I want the yarn. Maybe some blue for its pants. For their pants. Covered up part of my drawing, but I'm not going to worry about it. It's a little difficult to get the yarn down, so don't get discouraged. Sometimes you have to kind of loop it, especially if you didn't get enough glue on it. I have another glue bottle here. I think I'm going to try to get some glue out of. There we go. It's just Elmer's glue. just happen to have a bottle of the clear stuff. The best time to buy those supplies is right before school starts. Markers, glue, all of that goes on sale. And you can get some really good prices on all of it. And then just keep it for your family. So we're not going to have time to do the whole piece today. So I'm just going to give you an idea of what we're doing, and then show you how to finish it with other media. You might want to pick the easiest shapes to use the yarn in. I'm going pretty quickly, but you're going to need to take a little bit more time to make it really work well, like the one I did. Okay, so it kind of gives you an idea what I'm doing with the yarn. It would be fun to fill in the dog, actually, if we have some time. I just want to show you what you can do with some of the rest of it. So this is a very beginning of what we're doing. Then when you get enough filled in that way that you're happy with it, you can take either markers or a combination of markers, crayons, and since he used, this artist tended to use a lot of water media, if you have a set of watercolors, you could use some watercolors and use some paint for some of the rest of this. So like, I didn't leave a whole lot of sky, but let's say I want to fill the sky quickly. I could add the paint around it. Sky is another area that might be good to use the yarn in because it's big. The other thing you could do is then take markers and do the same thing. And then you can get some details. This I probably should have done with the yarn just because it's easy to do that. But anything that when you get tired or impatient with the yarn, we can also, I might as well do this on this technique on this too. So if you don't have yarn or you get tired of just using the yarn, we're gonna do another little short technique, making really short lines so it looks kind of like stitches. So I put some purple lines on that shirt. And that could either be done with some kind of crayons and make it look like you're stitching just by putting lines on there until you cover the whole paper with something. Probably because this tree is green, if I have some green yarn, which I did have, or maybe even it does, who said it had to be realistic? Maybe I could do some weird color for the tree like this and just crumble it up and spread the yarn all over like this. I'll just glue it on there a little bit so you can see. Yarn's pretty available and inexpensive. Or if you have any friends who do any kind of knitting or crocheting, they'll probably be happy to give you some extra yarn that they're not using. Okay, this is not all glued that great, but you get the idea that I could crumble it up. It won't look as much quite as much like stitches, but you'll still get the effect of using a fiber and fiber art as a media. So I crumbled that up and now I have a tree full of yarn. So you're going to just keep going with that. And when you're finished, you should get something, if you've used the lines, something maybe like this, though I didn't finish this one, or a combination similar to this piece that we started with, where I have watercolor in the background, I have yarn, some of the sand, and some of the people, and I've mixed the medias together, the water medias, because water markers, Crayola markers are water-based, so that is a water media, and watercolor, and the yarn that makes it look like I'm stitching something in there, the fiber art. Thank you for visiting with us today. We have another lesson based on this artist that we will be doing in the next week. And please come and see his art at the museum and look it up online. Thank you.
Thank you. Have fun, everyone.